At 88, Dustin Hoffman finally speaks up about Robert De Niro, and in doing so reflects not only on a fellow legend, but on a lifetime shaped by struggle, discipline, love, and artistic truth. Born Dustin Lee Hoffman on August 8, 1937, in Los Angeles, California, Hoffman grew up in a middle-class Jewish household that quietly encouraged creativity, even if it did not fully grasp the depth of his artistic drive. Shy, introspective, and far removed from the confident athletic ideal of his era, Hoffman instead developed a sharp emotional sensitivity and a habit of observing people with near-anthropological intensity, traits that later became the backbone of his acting style. His early years were marked by insecurity and uncertainty. He struggled academically, drifted after high school, dropped out of Santa Monica City College, and eventually moved to New York in the 1950s with little money and no guarantees, sustained only by the belief that acting was not a dream but a necessity for survival. Living in cramped apartments and taking menial jobs while performing in tiny off-Broadway productions, Hoffman trained rigorously in method acting, studying under Lee Strasberg and absorbing the idea that truth mattered more than charm. He shared those hungry years with fellow unknowns like Gene Hackman and Robert Duvall, friendships forged in ambition and desperation. When Hollywood finally noticed him, it was not because he fit the mold, but because he shattered it. Cast as Benjamin Braddock in The Graduate in 1967, Hoffman embodied a new kind of leading man, awkward, vulnerable, uncertain, and his performance ignited a cultural shift. The film was not merely successful, it redefined what audiences expected from cinema. From there, Hoffman delivered a series of transformative performances: the tragic street survivor Ratso Rizzo in Midnight Cowboy, the volatile brilliance of Lenny Bruce in Lenny, the emotionally shattered father in Kramer vs. Kramer, the gender-bending social critique of Tootsie, and the deeply respectful, demanding portrayal of Raymond Babbitt in Rain Man. Each role reflected empathy rather than vanity, earning him 2 Academy Awards and a reputation as one of the most fearless actors of his generation. Off-screen, Hoffman's life evolved alongside his career. After meeting and Byrne in 1963, he built a family during his rise to fame, adopting her daughter Karina and welcoming their daughter Jenna in 1969, while living in Greenwich Village during one of America's most politically volatile periods. In 1970, their proximity to history became literal when a bomb exploded next door in a townhouse occupied by members of the Weather Underground, a moment later captured in documentary footage and emblematic of the era's turbulence. Though Hoffman and Byrne divorced in 1980, that chapter shaped him deeply. Later that year, he married Lisa Gottsagen, a childhood acquaintance whose stability and intellect ushered in a calmer phase of his life. Together they raised 4 children, Jacob, Rebecca, Maxwell, and Alexandra, while Hoffman balanced demanding roles with fatherhood, eventually becoming a proud grandfather and grounding his legacy in family as much as film. Now, with the clarity that only age provides, Hoffman reflects on Robert De Niro, a contemporary often spoken of in parallel but rarely addressed personally. Looking back to their early days as unknowns in New York, Hoffman recalls De Niro's quiet intensity, a man who seemed already immersed in a film no one else could yet see. Though their acting styles differed, De Niro internal, physically transformative, Hoffman nervous, emotionally excavating, both were bound by an obsessive devotion to authenticity. Hoffman remembers watching Mean Streets and Taxi Driver and realizing cinema itself was changing. He insists they were never rivals, but silent observers of one another, pushing themselves higher through mutual respect. Working together later on Wag the Dog, Hoffman was struck by De Niro's disciplined stillness, the way he carried the emotional architecture of a film within himself. Reflecting on why he waited so long to speak, Hoffman admits that youth and competition often silence admiration, but at 88, ego falls away, leaving only truth. He now sees De Niro not just as a colleague, but as a mirror, another man shaped by broken apartments, scrappy stages, and impossible dreams. With quiet emotion, Hoffman says he has always admired De Niro more than he ever admitted, and hopes that by finally speaking, he offers not publicity, but closure, honoring a shared era and acknowledging that walking even part of the same path has been one of the great privileges of his life.